Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Today we're going to be taking a look at Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage is one of the hardest carries in the game, and that's partially because he's one of the fastest farmers in the game. Similar to Alchemist, which I did a guide on before, he usually gets one or two items ahead of the enemy team because he farms so quickly. Now, if he was 6-slotted and the enemy team had a carry that was 6-slotted, he might not be the best against him. It just depends what that hero is. Some of the strength heroes, the tankier heroes, Anti-Mage isn't the best against, but he farms so quickly and he can get so much gold that he usually will outcarry people if it gets to that point, if the game goes late enough and your team isn't losing by a ton. Now, the key to Anti-Mage, really, his weakness is the fact that he doesn't want to participate in fights at all before almost 30 minutes. Maybe 20 minutes, but 30 minutes, even some games, sometimes it depends. But in that 20 to 30 minute range is the time when you're only going to just start getting involved in team fights. Now, there is exceptions depending on what the enemy team has, their composition, what heroes, and occasionally AM can show up to a fight right at the end and blow somebody up really quickly. And you'll see in a second when we get to his skills how that works. But pretty much, other than his ultimate blowing up a hero, an int hero almost specifically, at the end of a fight, he doesn't do anything for the first 20 minutes other than hit creeps. Now, that's pretty much what this hero does in the beginning, is you just want to farm, you want to split push and hit creeps as much as possible, but split pushing really is key. You want to make sure that you're not just AFK, doing nothing on the map, hitting jungle creeps. You want to make sure you're trying to hit lane creeps as much as possible. And that's also because I'm going to talk a little bit about the items here. Anti-Mage has 2 items that he buys almost every game. Now, I don't like to talk about items because I say just, follow the build. That's pretty much the best. The meta changes, so focusing too much on items is not really worth it. But AM is a specific and unique case where every single patch, almost, 99% of patches, he only goes Battlefury Manta. Now, there's occasionally times, on higher levels or whatever, where that won't be the case, but he will almost always buy Battlefury and then Manta. So because of that, you want to use Battlefury to just hit more creeps. And then once you get Manta, it just makes you survivable to hit more creeps. Now, when you have the Manta, you can kind of choose to participate in team fights a little more. You're a little stronger, more survivable, that kind of thing. But even so, even past that timing, which could be around the 20-minute mark, maybe earlier, maybe later, depending on, the game, you still want to be farming. You want to get your next item, your third item, your fourth item, your fifth item. You want to just keep farming even when you want to be fighting the enemy team. And that's kind of the balance with AM is how do you maximize your farm, especially early when you don't have a Manta, but then still, once you get these items, how do you maximize your farm by, you keep increasing your farm, but still participating in fights, so you're not just kind of AFK the entire game. And that's where the struggle comes with Anti-Mages. You want to be sort of AFK farming, but not really. You want to put pressure on the map, you want to split push lanes and those kinds of things. So that's pretty much the gist of Anti-Mage, how you want to play him. Do not fight for the first 20 to 30 minutes, just farm, and then once you have a few items, then you can look to participate in team fights. Now that we know what Anti-Mage does in general and how to play him in the game overall, we can take a look at his abilities to see how he's able to farm really quickly and how he's able to carry the game. So first we're going to take a look at his blink ability actually, because it's pretty simple. You just blink around. You can just press it off cooldown, with 6 seconds, and what you want to do is you want to blink to waves, you want to blink to camps, you want to blink away when people are chasing you, that kind of thing. It's an innate blink ability. One key is that when you do blink, you can see he does a little spin move, and it's a little bit difficult to tell exactly the direction that he blinks. So that can be a little bit beneficial as well to keep in mind. So it's pretty straightforward. Just helps him be elusive, helps him farm quicker. Next, we're going to take a look at Counterspell. So Counterspell does 2 things. It gives you passive magic resistance, so that's always good. It just makes you tanky against magic and spells. And then 2, when you click it, it creates a little ball around you. Now this acts similar to Lotus Orb or Lincoln Sphere, except it's better. Because what it does is it reflects the spell back onto the enemy, and it doesn't affect Anti-Mage. And that's only for spells that directly target him. It's not for AoE spells. So as we can see here, we have Axe. We can, I can press this. Axe Call still works. Now Axe Call is one unique one where it goes through BKB and that kind of stuff, but as you can see, it doesn't counter that. Now what it does counter is this from Axe. So we press this, and Axe presses that, and it goes right on him, because that's a direct, you know, the Battle Hunger is a spell we apply directly to Anti-Mage, and so when he presses counter spell, it goes back to us completely, and we see Anti-Mage is not affected. Similarly, Storm has this pull ability, so when Anti-Mage presses this, Storm presses that, and it pulls Storm in while Anti-Mage is still free to run around. So it's key to use this ability at the times when you feel like you're going to be most vulnerable. Let's say you don't have your Manta up, because usually you buy, you know, this and this, you buy Battlefury Manta. You don't have Manta, you don't have Blink, you don't have anything left, you think the enemy is going to use spells on you, you press this for a second, it makes you almost invulnerable in a lot of ways, especially if they have single target stuns. Or, you know, you're farming a wave, you think they're running at you while you're about to be done, you click this, you do that, and then you blink away quick. And that allows Anti-Mage to be extremely elusive, hard to catch, because, you know, even if you could keep up with him with his blink, he also has the counter spell to make it very difficult and annoying to deal with him. So those are two of his abilities that help him farm, help him split push, help him be survivable. Now, we can go back to the first ability, and the reason why I skipped this one is because this is his passive ability, and this links up and synergizes with his ult. So we'll take a look at Mana Break. So what Mana Break does, it's pretty simple. Every time Anti-Mage attacks, it burns mana, and it does damage based on the mana that it burns. So here we see Storm burning mana from him with every attack. Now, the key to remember to this, and the reason why Anti-Mage, or one of the reasons why he buys Manta, is because all of his illusions also burn mana. So that's why, you know, you can blink in, you can use Manta and burn a ton of mana on a hero like Storm, who has a large mana pool, and you can do a lot of damage that way. So the key is that you want to use this ability, obviously, to harass, to be annoying, but you also want to use this ability because, like I said, it synergizes with Mana Void. Now, what Mana Void does as his ultimate is it does damage to a hero based on the amount of mana that hero has missing. So basically, for every point of mana that they have missing, it does, at the maximum level, 1.1 point of damage. So it basically does like the amount of mana missing equivalent to damage plus a little bit more. So that's why Anti-Mage, per the name, is very good against intelligence heroes, heroes with high mana pools that, you know, he can burn very quickly. Someone like Storm has low HP, high mana, he can burn the mana really quickly, and then do a ton of damage by, after that, blowing him up. So as we see, we'll put Axe next to him. Anti-Mage can do this. Pops does a lot of damage. Now, obviously, here he's level 30, so that didn't kill him, but, you know, one more attack and he would have died. Now, what you could see also from that ability is that it does AoE damage. So if you know, attack a guy in an AoE, because here, watch, I have Battlefury, I'm doing damage to Storm also. So if there's guys standing next to each other, or Storm is in the middle of two other heroes, maybe two supports that are pretty squishy, and you use your ultimate on Storm, who is missing a ton of mana, you could get 3 kills in one ability. So it can be very, very powerful against the right lineups. But you have to be careful as well, because like I said, it's good with heroes that have high mana pools, but not so good against heroes that don't have high mana pools, or even heroes that have high mana pools but have high HP pools as well. So look, I'm burning all of Axe's mana. That does a good amount of damage, but it's not as much. And plus, he has no items here, so let's give him like a heart. Let's just give him a couple hearts. I know it's not realistic, but let's just make him extremely tanky. Oh yeah, now I'm burning, you know, I'm burning all of his mana, but I'm doing almost no damage to him. And you know, now that he has no mana, I'm doing even less damage to him. I use this. It does a little bit, but it's not nearly as much. So that's pretty much the counter to AM, is high strength heroes, heroes that have a lot of HP and not as much mana. It's a lot harder for AM to deal with them. Now, the key to that is AM is very good at farming extremely quickly, so he will get an item or two ahead of the enemy team usually, and usually strength carries or strength heroes don't have the best mechanisms to farm. They usually don't farm nearly as fast as Anti-Mage, so that's kind of the key, is you want to make sure you know how to split push, you know how to make sure that the enemy is chasing you around the map without killing you, you get your items up really quickly, You know, if they have enemy intelligence cores, you can blow them up, especially early on. You know, you don't need all these items to go into a fight and just press your ult on somebody. Like if they have a Storm, Storm zips in, uses all of his mana. You can see that. You click on him, you say, oh wow, Storm has no mana. You just blink in, you click R on him, and he dies. That is pretty much your contribution to fights up to 20 minutes, and even sometimes a little bit after that. But like I said, because you're farming so quickly, you'll get a lot of items very fast if you know what you're doing, if you're good with the hero, if you practice, and then you can fight pretty much anyone on the enemy team because you have, you know, you're 5 or 6 slotted when they only have 3, maybe 4 items. And so that's really what makes Anti-Mage strong. He's very good against intelligence heroes, supports, or cores, and he also farms extremely quickly, so can out-farm and out-carry a lot of heroes because of this. So that's pretty much what Anti-Mage's abilities do. Now let's look at some replays and see how exactly we're supposed to play him. So now we're going to take a look at a replay of FN playing Anti-Mage here. And I just want to show you the very beginning of the laning stage and how careful he's playing and how he's pretty much just trying to get as many last hits as possible while also not putting himself in any kind of danger. Now they clear the wave, the first wave, pretty quickly. It allows him to kind of go over here and see if he can spend any time harassing the Rubik, but Rubik kind of just runs away knowing that's what he wants to do. And otherwise, he's just going to focus on... He's pretty much just going to focus on trying to get last hits. Every chance that he gets, he's going to creep aggro the creeps away. And you even see that the Elder Titan is being pretty aggressive because he knows that Anti-Mage is fairly weak in the beginning of the game. He's not the best laner, and I mean, unless there's someone that he can really do a lot of harass damage with his mana break, he doesn't lane very well at all, unless you really know what you're doing and you have a good matchup. So otherwise, he pretty much just wants to creep aggro as much as possible. Now, you see he's being a little bit aggressive, but that trade doesn't really work out very well for him. He's lucky that he has a Warlock, and honestly, he's probably getting a little extra aggressive like we see that blink in because he knows he has a Warlock to back him up, to heal him. Otherwise, I guarantee you he would not be taking nearly as much risks or doing as much as he is now because, I mean, as you see, every time he tries to trade, it does not go well for him. So as you see, he just trying to get as many last hits. He kind of doesn't let the thing go under his tower there. And he blinks in because he knows they're pulling, but as we'll see here, he tries to get these last hits, and it doesn't really go well for him. He almost dies. He's basically extremely lucky. One right click away from death there, pretty much. And then he tries to go back, and thankfully his Warlock heals him, gives him a salve, and also uses the heal on him. But as you see, just in general, I kind of want to get the point across that Anti-Mage is pretty weak. You don't want to be aggressive. You don't want to blink in to places that, you know, if you use your blink and it's aggressive, you're probably going to die if you didn't calculate it extremely well. If you're not used to playing Anti-Mage and knowing what you're doing, you have to make sure that you're using your blink effectively and you're not putting yourself in a weird position where you're going to get caught out. That's kind of the main thing that I want to emphasize, is just focus on last hits. Focus on last hits, creep aggro, do what you can to get as many last hits as possible because that's the point of Anti-Mage. Overall, you want to get the Battlefury as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, without sacrificing your life. In other words, if you need boots, if you need Wraith Bands, if you need something to live because you know that the enemy team is going to kill you, by all means, you can buy it. But usually, you're going to want to rush Battlefury as quickly as possible because that just, the sooner you get it, you see he got it at 1330, that means you're going to be able to farm everything else quicker. So once he gets Battlefury, he can do Ancients. Once he gets Battlefury, he's going to clear waves much quicker. We see him now, with the other thing that I want to talk about, come into team fights afterwards, and we see him die, actually. So we're going to pause it, and I just wanted to finish my statement there. You see him able to farm Ancients, farm lanes, farm all those things with his Battlefury much quicker. And actually, this is a mistake. We see a mistake that he'll make here that a lot of players make once they get their Battlefury, or in general, even, you know, once they get their Manta or whatever. They want to try to get involved with Anti-Mage, and it almost never works out. So we'll see here, he gets his Battlefury. We'll go to normal speed so you can see this. He starts farming Ancients, which is good. They give a lot of gold. Now he can farm them because he has his Battlefury. But he's watching his team fight. He says, oh, we're winning. He kind of has a general sense that they're winning. It's 14-3. He thinks, I got my Battlefury. I'm in a good position. Looks like we might be winning the fight. I can do this. It's 2 dead on the enemy team. We're going to be able to win this fight pretty easy. So he blinks in. He wants to join the fight. Now, Elder Titan hits him twice, and he dies. I mean, Elder Titan is a unique hero that can do a lot of damage like that, but you see how squishy he still is with only, let's pause it here, with only 920 health. He does have 10 armor, but he really is extremely squishy. We saw 2 attacks from Elder Titan did pretty much all of his health and damage, and similarly, he could die from a lot of other heroes in the game this early. And it's one of those situations where he wanted to get that kill, he wanted to blow up Pugna because, as you can see, Pugna is a hero with a very high mana pool, in fact, a higher mana pool than his health pool. So, with this much mana that he had missing when he died, if AM casted ult on him, he would have exploded, and AM would have gotten that kill and gotten some gold, which would have been good for him. But it's always that fine balance, that difficult balance to achieve, where now that he did that, he wishes that he would have just farmed. He wishes he would have just sat in the jungle. Because even though usually you want to be hitting creeps in the lane to push lanes and split push, it would have been way better for him to just hit jungle creeps for that entire, 2 minutes or a minute or so. He got, it's almost 15 minutes. He got his Battlefury at 13 and a half. Almost 15 minutes, and he hit, what, 1 ancient camp since he got his Battlefury? That's really not what you want to be doing. And I think that's a very good example of mistakes you can easily make with Anti-Mage, because, if I showed you a perfect game with Anti-Mage, we'd just be sitting here and watching him farm creep camps and farm lanes and never get killed, and the enemy might chase him a little bit, but it would be rather uneventful. You can learn a lot maybe from that to see his farming patterns, but I think sometimes it's better to see the mistakes that even high-level players can make with Anti-Mage, because that is the fine line you have to walk with Anti-Mages. When do you want to farm? When do you want to jump in, blow somebody up on the enemy team? And then if you make one mistake like that, it can hurt a lot, because it essentially set his Battlefury back a whole minute and a half. So any progress, all of that he did in the beginning, it wasn't all to waste, obviously. He will eventually win this game. Spoilers, but he could have had an even better game. He's currently on the top net worth. He could have probably had 1,000 more gold, maybe, than he does now if he didn't die that time, because he wouldn't have lost gold and he would have spent more time farming. So that's kind of key. That is the balancing act that you need to play with Anti-Mage. So we jumped ahead a little bit here, and we see that AM has Battlefury and Manta now, but he's still going to be focusing on farming. We'll see in a second, he's pushing this bottom wave here, and we're going to see that he's checking in on his team. We'll see that his team goes in. They're, 8k lead. They're leading by a good bit, and AM could participate in the fight right now if he wanted to, but instead, he sees that, the Tusk dies, his team is trying to make space. Eventually, here the Warlock will die as well, so 2 of his teammates died. Maybe he could have helped, but really it was better for him to spend that time farming and pressuring this tower. And that's honestly what you want to do a lot of the time with Anti-Mage, unless you see a very good opportunity to blow somebody up, like I said, or, you're maybe a higher level player, you're playing with a team and you want to make a play. But honestly, up until 5k or so, you can pretty much AFK farm with Anti-Mage for the first 20 to 30 minutes, and that'll be fine. And usually, if your team knows what they're doing or knows how Anti-Mage is played, they will honestly yell at you if you don't AFK farm. They'll be like, why aren't you farming? Get out of here. We don't want you to be here, because that's not how AM is played. They know that if you don't just sit here and farm and do this, that you're going to fall behind. You're not going to have the impact that you need later in the game.
His top tower is under attack.
So here again, I'm going to show you another time where he does the right thing, actually, because earlier in the game I kind of skipped over it. He fed again. He went in, he tried to fight, he thought he was strong, and he died again. Well, here you see he has Aegis. They just got Aegis. He went and pushed top tower. His team is fighting, but instead he says, you know what, this time, even though I have 3 items, even though I'm pretty strong, I'm just going to keep farming. And, he kind of checks to see, oh, can I join this fight? He says, you know what, I'm not going to risk it anymore. I'm just going to keep farming. I have 3 items now. we see Anti-Mage, he's on top of the net worth. He's doing extremely well. His team is doing well. They're 14k ahead. You know, he doesn't want to throw this game. Might as well not lose Aegis, die again unnecessarily. It's time to keep accelerating, keep farming, and that's what he's just going to do. Now he gets his Basher, and he's just going to go from there. So now we skipped ahead again here, and we see that the last, 15 minutes, all they've been doing is farming. They took over the map, they got all the towers. We're actually to the second Aegis already, and only now do they decide to go high ground because, AM is pretty far ahead of everybody. He's 10k ahead of this Medusa. He's even further ahead of the next guy in line, and now they finally decide to go high ground. And you see, Medusa has good farm, but AM basically is 6-slotted now. And they eventually, his team's doing really well, but they eventually will win this fight and clean up because he just spent the time getting way ahead, and there's pretty much nothing they could do. Now, with equal farm, maybe if he fed another time or two, if he wasn't able to farm the map and he made some mistakes, they may have lost this game. Maybe the enemy was able to kill him. But now that he has all the items that he does, and they have Aegis, it's going to be extremely hard for the enemy to do anything to him with all the net worth and the items that he has. Like, he almost just can't die. It's extremely hard for them to kill him. There's almost nothing they can do. Thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As I always say, if you have any suggestions or want a video specifically, a specific guide that I haven't made yet, just let me know, and I'll be sure to try to do that for you. I'm still small enough now, obviously, that I can take those kinds of requests, so if you find this useful, if you find this helpful, if there's any questions that you have specifically about Anti-Mage or any of the other heroes that I've done, feel free to ask them, and I'll definitely try to help you out. And until next time, thanks a lot, guys.